Cremation, an ancient practice with deep historical and cultural roots, has been a subject of much debate and contemplation over the centuries. From its origins in the earliest human civilizations to its place in modern society, cremation continues to evoke strong emotions and diverse opinions. In this extensive exploration, we delve into the spiritual, religious, and ethical dimensions of cremation, drawing insights from the Bible and various religious traditions to offer a profound and inspiring perspective on this significant topic. Cremation, derived from the Latin word cremare, meaning to burn, has been practiced for thousands of years. Archaeological evidence suggests that the practice dates back to the Stone Age. Around 3000 BC, ancient cultures, such as the Greeks and Romans, often opted for cremation as a means to honor the deceased and expedite their journey to the afterlife. In these early societies, cremation was seen as a way to purify the body and soul, freeing them from earthly ties and enabling a swifter transition to the spiritual realm. The historical roots of cremation are deeply intertwined with humanity's quest to understand and honor the mystery of death. In ancient Greece, cremation was a common practice, especially for warriors and those of high status. The Iliad, an epic poem attributed to Homer, describes the cremation of Patroclus, a close friend of the hero Achilles. Patroclus's body is burned on a pyre, and his ashes are collected and placed in a golden urn. This practice symbolized the release of the soul and the return of the body to its elemental form. Similarly, in ancient Rome, cremation was prevalent among the elite, and urns containing the ashes of the deceased were often stored in columbaria, specially designed buildings with niches for urns. The Roman poet Virgil, in his epic The Aeneid, recounts the cremation of the hero Maecenas, emphasizing the purification and sanctification of the body through fire. The Bible, a cornerstone of Christian faith, provides varied perspectives on the treatment of the dead. While there is no explicit condemnation of cremation in the scriptures, traditional Jewish and Christian practices have historically favored burial over burning. This preference is rooted in the belief that the body is a sacred vessel, created in the image of God, and should therefore be treated with utmost respect and care. Genesis 3 verse 19 states, "By the sweat of your brow you will eat your food until you return to the ground, since from it you were taken. For dust you are, and to dust you will return." This verse underscores the natural cycle of life and death, emphasizing the return of the body to the earth. Despite this, the Bible also recounts instances where bodies were burned, either as a form of judgment or purification. For example, in 1 Samuel 31 verse 12, the men of Jabesh Gilead retrieved the bodies of Saul and his sons from the Philistines and burned them to prevent further desecration. This act, while not a common practice, was carried out with a sense of honor and respect for the deceased. Similarly, in Amos 2 verse 1, the prophet condemns the Moabites for burning the bones of the king of Edom to lime, indicating that the act of burning bones was known and not entirely foreign in ancient Israelite culture. The tension between cremation and burial within the Bible reflects broader cultural and theological dynamics. In ancient Israel, burial was the predominant practice, often occurring in family tombs or caves. The patriarch Abraham, for example, purchased the cave of Machpelah as a burial site for his wife Sarah, and it later became the resting place for other patriarchs and matriarchs, Genesis 23. The emphasis on burial can be seen as an expression of the hope in bodily resurrection, a theme that resonates throughout both the Old and New Testaments. Christianity's stance on cremation has evolved over time. In the early centuries of the Church, burial was the preferred method of interment, symbolizing the hope of resurrection. The Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians 15 verses 42 to 44 speaks of the resurrection of the body, likening it to a seed that is sown in the ground. So will it be with the resurrection of the dead. The body that is sown is perishable, it is raised imperishable. It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power. It is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body. This passage has been interpreted to support the idea that the body, though perishable, will be transformed and glorified in the resurrection. However, as societies changed and cremation became more practical and accepted, the Christian perspective began to shift. The Catholic Church, for instance, now permits cremation, provided that it is not chosen as a denial of faith in the resurrection of the body. The Church maintains that the cremated remains should be treated with the same respect as a body, meaning they should be buried or entombed in a sacred place rather than scattered or kept at home. This nuanced approach reflects an understanding of the evolving cultural and practical considerations while maintaining the theological principles of respect and reverence for the deceased. In contrast, other religious traditions have long embraced cremation as a deeply spiritual practice. Hinduism, for example, views cremation as a crucial rite of passage. The practice is rooted in the belief in reincarnation and the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. The Bhagavad Gita, a sacred Hindu text, explains the impermanence of the physical body and the eternal nature of the soul. As a person sheds worn-out garments and wears new ones, likewise, at the time of death, the soul casts off its worn-out body and enters a new one. Bhagavad Gita 2:22. Cremation is seen as a means to release the soul from its earthly vessel, allowing it to move on to its next incarnation. Hindu cremation rituals are elaborate and imbued with profound symbolism. The body is typically anointed with ghee, clarified butter, and adorned with garlands and sacred ash. The eldest son or a close male relative lights the funeral pyre, often after performing the last rites, antiesti. The pyre is usually constructed from sandalwood or other fragrant woods, symbolizing purity and sanctity. The burning of the body is believed to purify the soul and aid its journey to the afterlife. After the cremation, the ashes are often scattered in a sacred river, such as the Ganges, further facilitating the soul's release from the cycle of rebirth. Buddhism also supports cremation, viewing it as a reminder of the impermanence of life and the importance of detachment from the physical form. The Buddha himself was cremated, and his relics were enshrined in stupas, serving as objects of veneration and reflection for his followers. This practice underscores the Buddhist teachings on the transitory nature of life and the need to focus on spiritual growth and enlightenment rather than attachment to the physical body. The Mahaparinibbana Sutta, a Buddhist scripture, describes the cremation of the Buddha's body and the subsequent division of his relics among his disciples, highlighting the significance of cremation in Buddhist tradition. In contrast to the acceptance of cremation in Hinduism and Buddhism, Islam strongly advocates for burial. The Quran, Islam's holy book, emphasizes the sanctity of the human body and prescribes burial as the appropriate method of interment. Cremation is generally forbidden in Islam, as it is seen as a desecration of the body, which is believed to be created by Allah and worthy of respect in death as in life. Islamic funeral practices involve washing and shrouding the body, followed by a simple burial facing Mecca. The Prophet Muhammad's own burial in Medina serves as a model for Muslim funeral rites. Judaism, like Islam, traditionally favors burial over cremation. The Jewish law, halakha, views the body as a sacred vessel, and burial is seen as a way to honor the deceased and return their body to the earth, as commanded in Genesis 3 verse 19. The Talmud, a central text of Rabbinic Judaism, elaborates on the importance of burial and the procedures involved. However, attitudes towards cremation have varied among Jewish communities, particularly in the modern era. Some Reform and liberal Jewish movements have become more accepting of cremation, provided it is conducted with dignity and respect. From a contemporary perspective, cremation offers several practical advantages. It is often more cost-effective and environmentally friendly than traditional burial. As urban populations grow and land becomes scarcer, cremation provides a sustainable alternative to overcrowded cemeteries. Furthermore, advancements in cremation technology have reduced its environmental impact, making it a more appealing option for those concerned about ecological stewardship. Ethically, the choice between cremation and burial is deeply personal and can be influenced by a variety of factors, including cultural traditions, religious beliefs, and individual preferences. Some people find solace in the idea of their bodies returning to the earth, in harmony with the natural cycle of life and death. Others may prefer cremation for its simplicity, efficiency, and ability to provide a sense of closure. Additionally, the option to memorialize the deceased through the creation of keepsakes, such as urns or jewelry containing ashes, offers a tangible connection for grieving families. In navigating these choices, it is essential to approach the topic with sensitivity and respect for differing viewpoints. The decision of how to handle one's remains or those of a loved one is profoundly personal and can be influenced by a myriad of emotional, spiritual, and practical considerations. Encouraging open and compassionate conversations about end-of-life preferences can help individuals and families make informed and meaningful decisions that honor their values and beliefs. The theological implications of cremation extend beyond individual choice, touching on broader questions of life, death, and the afterlife. For many, the manner in which they choose to be remembered is a reflection of their deepest beliefs and values. Whether opting for burial or cremation, the underlying desire is often to find a sense of peace and continuity, both for the deceased and for those left behind. In Christianity, the concept of bodily resurrection has historically influenced burial practices. The resurrection of Jesus Christ, as described in the Gospels, serves as the cornerstone of Christian faith, symbolizing victory over death and the promise of eternal life. This belief in resurrection has led many Christians to favor burial, seeing it as a way to honor the hope of being raised in a glorified body. However, modern theological interpretations acknowledge that God's power to resurrect is not limited by the condition or location of the physical body. This understanding allows for a more inclusive view of cremation, recognizing that the essence of resurrection lies in the transformative power of God's grace. Hinduism and Buddhism, with their emphasis on reincarnation and the impermanence of the physical body, offer a different perspective on cremation. These traditions view death as a transition rather than an end, and the disposal of the body through cremation is seen as a natural and necessary step in the soul's journey. The teachings of karma and samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, provide a framework for understanding the significance of cremation within these religions. The act of burning the body is not seen as a destruction but as a release, allowing the soul to continue its path towards liberation and enlightenment. The ethical considerations surrounding cremation also intersect with contemporary environmental and social concerns. As the global population grows and urbanization increases, the demand for burial space has led to practical challenges. Traditional cemeteries require significant land resources, and the environmental impact of embalming chemicals and non-biodegradable caskets has raised questions about sustainability. In response, many people are turning to cremation as a more environmentally responsible option. Innovations such as biocremation, alkaline hydrolysis, and the use of biodegradable urns further enhance the ecological benefits of cremation. The psychological and emotional aspects of cremation and burial also play a crucial role in the decision-making process. For some, the idea of cremation provides a sense of finality and closure, marking a clear end to the physical existence and allowing for the focus to shift to the spiritual legacy of the deceased. The ability to keep a small portion of the ashes in a memorial keepsake or to scatter them in a meaningful location offers comfort and a tangible connection to the loved one. Conversely, others may find solace in the traditional burial practices, which offer a physical place of remembrance and reflection. Visiting a gravesite, tending to it, and having a dedicated space for mourning can provide a sense of continuity and presence that some find lacking in cremation. The choice between cremation and burial often reflects these deeply personal and emotional needs, underscoring the importance of honoring individual and family preferences. In examining the global landscape of cremation practices, it becomes clear that cultural context plays a significant role in shaping attitudes and rituals. In Japan, for example, cremation is the predominant practice, with over 99% of the deceased being cremated. This high prevalence is influenced by both religious beliefs, primarily Buddhism, and practical considerations, such as limited land availability. Japanese cremation ceremonies often include a period of bone picking, where family members use chopsticks to transfer the bones to an urn, symbolizing the continuity of family ties and respect for the deceased. In contrast, countries like the United States and Canada have seen a gradual increase in cremation rates over the past few decades. This shift is driven by a combination of factors, including changing religious attitudes, cost considerations, and a growing awareness of environmental issues. The diversity of practices within these multicultural societies highlights the importance of respecting and understanding the various factors that influence end-of-life decisions. As we reflect on the significance of cremation in different religious and cultural contexts, It is essential to recognize the common threads that unite these practices. At their core, both cremation and burial are expressions of love, respect, and reverence for the deceased. They serve as rituals of closure and remembrance, helping the living to navigate the complex emotions of grief and loss. Whether through the purification of fire or the return to the earth, these practices honor the sacredness of life and the mystery of death. In conclusion, cremation is a practice rich in history, spirituality, and cultural significance. By examining its roots in ancient civilizations, its evolving role in religious traditions, and its contemporary relevance, we can gain a deeper understanding of the profound ways in which humans honor and commemorate the dead. Whether viewed through the lens of the Bible, Hinduism, Buddhism, or modern ethical considerations, cremation offers a unique perspective on the eternal questions of life, death, and the afterlife. As we reflect on these themes, let us remember the words of Ecclesiastes 3 verse 20, "All go to the same place, all come from dust, and to dust all return." This timeless truth reminds us of our shared humanity and the cyclical nature of existence, inviting us to approach the topic of cremation with reverence, thoughtfulness, and an open heart. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends and family.